Has Blizzard really changed? Have they really changed? Oh, if they really changed, oh, come on. It's got to be good this time, guys. Oh, come on, Blizzard. Please. To be fair, they've been doing very well. It's funny to goof around on people with this stuff, but we'll see what they say. You're grossly exaggerating. I think, in my opinion, I'm underestimating it. I absolutely think so. Here we go. Are we screwed? Let's see it.
Oh my goodness, I'm sure you've all seen it. Blizzard has opened its doors to a series of exclusive interviews with Preach Gaming. Blizzard has changed, they cry. But have they really? Have Ian Hazacostas and the Warcraft team really woken up to their failures? Or is it all just more empty words and future disappointment? Well, let's get right into it with the good. Throughout the interviews, we've gotten a first-hand look into how Blizzard sees their game, and, more importantly, what they are doing to change it. First up was freedom. One giant change Blizzard is making in Dragonflight, and one we have seen already in the beta. Gone are the days of having to do attunement questlines to unlock zones, like in Argus, or having to level your reputations through world quests just to unlock—
I'm okay with attunements and doing stuff like that if it only needs to be done once. Like, what I think that people really have the biggest problem with are maintenance activities that you have to do repeatedly for multiple characters. That's what's really bad. Like weekly activities that need to be done. Yeah, alt, stuff like that. I think that doing a one tap for something, like for example, doing Torghast all the way up to layer 8 once at the beginning of Shadowlands, probably wasn't a big deal for a lot of people. That's fine. But it's having to log on every consecutive week after that and then do it again. That's what the issue is. It's the repeat gameplay.
The next phase of content.
All this is just there with a sense of freedom to explore it as you see fit. For some people, maybe you're going to focus on getting raid ready during the first couple of weeks, and you'll come back and check out the renown tracks later, because there are mounts or dragon riding skins or other things you want to unlock. Or again, if you're someone who's really focused on professions, there are specific recipes. If you're a leatherworker, you're going to want to, work on that centaur renown to get some of the leatherworking recipes from there. So it's all of the same philosophies are there. It's just we don't have that artifact power, that soulbind renown, that thing that is just...
you still have the same weekly systems that you have to do, but you don't have to do them. That's the biggest difference. The problem wasn't that there were weekly retention mechanisms. The problem is that you had to do them.
Hitting everyone over the head with being completely mandatory regardless of your playstyle. And again, that gets back to, we don't want to force players into content that they don't inherently enjoy. We want to let you play the game the way you want to play the game.
Finally, we can once again explore the world at our own pace.
Imagine being
slow
able to play
down
the video
a bit
game.
to enjoy the Dragon Isles with all its exotic beauty and juicy secrets. Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of players out there that find the Drakfir exotic and juicy. From what we've seen in Dragonflight, this ideology shift appears to be seeping into all parts of WoW. And
I think it would be fine if they add in the scaly characters, but you've also got to add in the big titty characters too. Like, it's okay. Like, all I want is equal representation. Like, for every furry they add into the game, they have to add in another version of Draenei. Like, we need cat girls, like all kinds of other stuff like that. Yeah, true. We want equality. Yeah, big taser. Yeah, like, it's like, you want to add in a scaly race? Fine, but give us a boob slider. Then we'll call it even.
MMO on rails no more. Going forward, WoW is focusing on exploration and letting the player loose on the world. Blizzard is taking a hands-off approach to their players and not forcing them into areas that they don't want to play in. Next up, we have spreading out the gear. Going forward, there will be a smaller power gap between low and high-end gear. Crafted items...
I don't know if that's really true. I think that high-end gear is still really good. You can get like 424 or some shit like that in the raid. That's pretty good. I'll be right back. I gotta take a piss. We good. We good. We talk more about that trading post shit after this. Don't worry about it. Okay. No, McConnell. I'll get in Discord. I'm not in Discord. Let me see if he's in Discord. We're gonna get those dungeons done. We're gonna get those raids done. Oh, this is gonna be. Oh, it's gonna be lit today. I'm ready.
And those earned from world content will be higher item level and closer to the elite gear, giving.
I think they should add Titan Forging back and make it only for low tier gear, and like to where it will never have like a Titan Forge above like mythic or heroic level, but like you can get like some Titan Forge gear for like world quests or random upgrades. So that way, like it never makes like high end players have to do it, but low end players still get small W's. Profession gear is better. Maybe you're right. Maybe profession gear just is better.
There's more routes to upgrade from sources other than raids and Mythic Plus.
We do want outdoor play and certainly professions to be able to push farther into that track than they ever have before. I think at times in the past it's felt like if you were a solo player, well, you kind of capped out at maybe you could get a couple of normal mode raid pieces, and otherwise you were like 30 eye levels behind.
If you were a solo player, you were an indentured servant. Like you were basically like you were like a loser. Yeah, you're like on minimum wage. You gotta save up all month to be able to go to Wendy's.
And the Mythic Raider. That's, I think, too large a gap, and something we'd like to close.
And that's a pretty good thing. Yes, craftsmen of Azeroth, our gear will no longer come from the raids of sweaty basement dwellers, but from our own Cheeto-covered hands, as we craft away in our mum's basement. Then we had focusing on evergreen content. Throughout the interviews, Blizzard talked at length about how they are moving away from borrowed power and into improving and adding to their old progression systems that have been around since vanilla.
And this is something that, again, everybody thought Blizzard was like, yeah, let's see what they're really going to do. Let's see if this is really going to happen. Bro, I think them adding this trading post shit, like, unironically, like, this is them doing the exact same thing again. Like, we're going to have the trading post 2 expansions from now. It's so good. It's a big good. It is so good. It's so big. It's so good. Yeah, this is actually just a W.
Systems like talents and professions are getting completely reworked in Dragonflight to make them relevant and meaningful once again. For years we've been begging for the old talents and old professions to make a return, and Blizzard is finally working on them. And thank God for that.
Yep.
Once more, you can carefully craft your talents to your playstyle, perfecting a build unique to yourself. At which point you'll probably copy a build from Icy Veins or Wowhead. Now
that's right. That's what you do. Everybody can pick anything they want, and everybody picks the exact same thing. That's right. But you know what? At least an illusion of choice fools some people.
Out of the way, let's get into the part you clicked on the video for, the bad. Now, before all of you get too excited, there's still a lot to talk about, and there is a lot that was unaddressed or ignored in these interviews. A handful of fixed issues, and a mountain of unaddressed ones. Major problems in the game weren't brought up at all during the interview,
like
and
what?
have no sign of being worked on by Blizzard.
Like what?
Issues such as leveling, which used to
leveling being bad. I think that leveling in I think leveling in Dragonflight is very good. In my opinion, I think a problem is that players are bombarded with too many new abilities too quickly. Like, I would be happy if Blizzard was able to take a couple of abilities away from classes and just allow the existing abilities to have different types of positional functionalities. Personally, I would improve this. I would think this is an improvement. Maybe a lot of people disagree with this. This is fine. This is my opinion.
To be such a core part of the game has slowly been whittled down since Legion. Gear staying meaningful from patch to patch and not being outdated as soon as a new raid tier is released.
This is a huge problem, and I totally agree with him here. I don't like whenever a new season of PvP or a new season of raiding comes out and everything that I worked on in the previous season is effectively garbage. It doesn't feel good for me. I understand why Blizzard does it, but I feel like whenever I played Burning Crusade and Wrath, it made me feel better that I could work towards work through the different raid tiers, and I had more content in the game. Now, if Blizzard still wants to keep doing this, I think it's okay, but it will make people feel like they don't want to come back or they don't want to work on gear because there's just like a constant reset of the gear. If you reset gear too fast, people don't want to actually acquire the gear because it takes so much effort, and then they get it, then it's gone again.
As well as sharding and community interaction. These are all important issues that, unfortunately, were absent from these interviews. Lots of work.
Yeah, I think so. Doesn't PoE work fine? I think PoE is a great example of this, and I think that PoE has also had this exact same problem. Like, this launch for PoE wasn't as popular as the previous one by about 30,000 people. Now, is it going to retain players better than the Arch Nemesis League called, whichever one the one was before this was? I forgot what it's called. Kalandra League. Probably it will retain players better because Kalandra was, like, notoriously bad. However, I do think that PoE has the same issue. How many of you guys in Path of Exile, and also another reason why PoE is different, is that in PoE, people leveled new characters. So, like, somebody goes and they play, like, oh, well, I want to play Arc Lightning this league, and the next league they do Righteous Fire, and then the league after that, they're like, I'm going to play, Summon Raging Spirits or something like that. So they change things regularly because of that. And I think, WoW, there's much more friction in doing that.
But not much action. The interviews are full of explanations for past choices, without giving concrete details of the path forward. Throughout the video, Preach and Ian...
I think that's... Well, I think that they did give concrete details on the path forward. And even if you want to argue they didn't, I feel like their actions show a path that they're going down. Like with them having the trading post. I think the trading post is a very good indicator of where WoW is going.
Discuss problems in the game without actually discussing how they're being solved. Now, this may be because Blizzard wants to play their cards close to their chest, which is reasonable. However, because of that...
It's probably because they don't know how to solve them yet. That's probably the real truth. Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's hard to know how to solve problems like this. It's really, really hard. And there have been some cases where Blizzard has actually had a perfect solution for certain things, but in many cases, that's not what happens.
I remain a little unconvinced by what they say. Actions speak louder than words. Players have been burned quite a few times before.
I think that's really where a lot of the negativity for the game comes from. It doesn't even come from what Blizzard is doing. It comes from what players have already experienced. So most people's negativity towards Blizzard products in general, especially Dragonflight and Diablo 4, it's not even based off of Dragonflight and Diablo 4. It's based off of what happened in Shadowlands. It's based off of what happened with Diablo Immortal. It's based off of what happened in BFA. That's what it is.
Analogy, you could say that over the last decade, Blizzard has been a bit like that ex that you keep coming back to. You tell your buddies that they've changed and it's okay. Then after a few weeks, you remember why you broke up in the first place. Now, once again, the ex is back and saying it's different this time.
See, like, I remember I had a girlfriend like this, and I would try to explain it to my friends at the beginning, but after a while, they would be like, wow, again? I'm like, yep. And they're like, okay. I'm like, yep. All right. And that was all it was. Yeah, I stopped making excuses for it.
I'm sure it will be. So what does this all mean?
Yep.
Well, for starters, Blizzard is not off the hook yet. The community remains extremely wary of, well, anything Blizzard does or says. It's going to take years of work just to build back the trust to where it was in Legion, let alone...
Well, you're not going to have people have the trust anyway, because a lot of the people that have that are unhappy about it, these are people that have already stopped playing World of Warcraft. So they inherently don't trust Blizzard. That's why they quit the game. And they're playing another game now, and now they're invested in that other game. And because of that, they're always going to be negative about WoW because it's about their game now.
Build it back to where it was in, I don't know, Kata or Wrath. That would be a monumental task. Though
I feel like, again, a lot of people don't really remember what it was. People never trusted Blizzard to do shit. I feel like this is definitely, there's a spectrum of this, right? But people were super negative about Blizzard in Cataclysm and Wrath. Bro, like one of the most popular PvP guilds in my server was called Wrath of the Lazy Kids. instead of Wrath of the Lich King, right? WOTLK, whatever the fuck it is, right? And this is the most popular fucking guild because everybody thought Wrath was just casualizing the game and making the game too easy. Cataclysm ruined everything. Mists of Pandaria is just to attract an Asian audience. Warlords of Draenor has no content. Legion is just playing a slot machine. BFA, the slot machine doesn't look as good. Shadowlands has no content and it's bad. At least Legion was good. Yeah, every single expansion was bad. Like, it really, and they were right every time. There's a part of them that was.
The end of the video, Preach did mention that Blizzard is planning their path to redemption up to over a decade into the future. A decade? I might be dead by then.
I feel like that's not what they said. I think that they said, because remember Ian talking about like, yeah, so like if we're going to try to plan something for like 8 years in the future, I mean, who the fuck knows what's going to happen in 8 years? I mean, well, I don't know. We'll just fucking figure it out then. I'm just not going to worry about that. Who cares? And like, I was actually really glad to hear that. Because what does that really mean? That means that they're confident that they can solve whatever problem that they create for themselves.
A new and open Blizzard. From this video, what we've seen is a new open approach to community interaction from Blizzard. Ever since the 90s, Blizzard has always preferred to stay tight-lipped and keep a distance from PR. Interviews have been short, with pre-discussed questions and topics, and generally uninsightful information. The community has been ecstatic to get personal interviews like these with WoW's lead-in faces. I mean...
And one of the big reasons why this is happening is because all of the other companies are doing the same thing. Media has changed, media outlets have changed, how they distribute media has changed, and because of all these things, now we're seeing, obviously, a lot of people go and do all this different stuff. And now they're trying different stuff. And I think that the truth is, with Blizzard, they honestly ask themselves, can it get any worse? They had this massive sexual assault scandal or sexual harassment scandal. Before that, it was the Blitzchung controversy. Before that, it was something else stupid, Diablo Immortal. Like, their reputation was already in the fucking toilet, and they just said, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, I think that's really what it was.
These commenters said it best. Just take a look. So here we have CatDany. I hope I'm saying that right. Great job interviewing. I really enjoyed the format, and it felt more genuine than just throwing out 10 to 15 pre-approved questions. I honestly have a good feeling about the future of this game. Smiley face. So here's DS Carno, and he says, these are some real feeling interviews. They took a huge risk with this. I bet PR is sweating right now. Yeah, probably, mate. Probably. And here we...
Well, the people that are in PR, you've got to keep in mind, the people that work in PR, their job is to necessitate their own existence. So to the extent that they are no longer the gatekeeper on who people interact with or not, then their functionality is minimized. So of course they're going to do that. PR equals worry about everything. Yeah. Most people that care about PR things are just stupid. Most PR stuff doesn't really matter.
Have survival. Oh, I get it. This is one of the most important videos for WoW ever. To see devs talk as humans and people who love the game, not with corporate talk, but just simple talks with the like-minded. It makes them seem much more natural, and Preach and his team have done a fantastic job of showing this. Very insightful. Hopefully nice. Blizzard will continue to have interviews like these that show the community what goes on behind the scenes, and helps everyone get a little more perspective, both on their side and ours. So what are your thoughts on the new era of Blizzard and WoW? Is it all gonna be a massive disappointment? Or are you hyped for Dragonflight? Let us know in the comments below.
There we fucking go.
Hey, what up, boys?
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to this.
Oh my goodness.
So people are saying, has Blizzard really changed? I think that overall there have been tremendous improvements in Dragonflight. Let me link you guys. It's a Mookluck video on Nixium's channel. So I don't know, subscribe to one of them at least. So yeah, let me link it for you guys. This time it's going to be different. Well, here's the truth though. It is different. Am I crazy for thinking this? It is. Like it is different. Like I am never a person that goes and I say like, oh, well, you should base this off of like this assumption that I'm giving you or whatever. Bro, like they actually are changing it. It's right there. This is very different. I think that a lot of people are saying this kind of stuff because it makes them feel smart. It makes them feel like, oh, I'm not going to be taken advantage of. But I think that whenever you are reflexively negative, you are just as delusional as people that are reflexively positive. Because you are not looking at what you see. You are thinking about what you saw. You're not evaluating things that you're looking at. You're thinking about everything in a past context. I think that it is very true that the game has been improved in a tremendous way in many different regards. And some examples of like why I think that is the case. Leveling feels better. Everybody that I've talked to has said leveling feels a lot better. People have already leveled multiple characters. This did not really happen in Shadowlands. The expansion did not ship with an obviously broken system that Blizzard refused to change. This did happen. Professions have been undeniably improved. The talent system has been generally viewed positively by, I would say, 90% of players. These are all, PvP is pretty good. You can get full PvP gear very easily. And then whenever you get that gear, you can compete in Arena and Battlegrounds. And if you want to play your character differently in Arena and Battlegrounds, you can use your talent system to do that. Imagine that. Isn't that crazy? People tend to praise expansions early on, even if things are improving. It's still only week 2. But you understand the Shadowlands shipped with less obvious problems than BFA did. BFA shipped with probably less obvious problems than Legion did. And I think Dragonflight shipped with less obvious problems than Shadowlands did. This has been a continuous improvement. I feel like I am the person that people think is simultaneously a hater and a shill. And the reason why is because I actually look at what's happening rather than going off of my own biases. It's nuts. Please react to the upcoming Battle Pass in WoW. I already did. So this is the new Battle Pass that's coming out in WoW. It's called the Trading Post. And basically lets you buy a bunch of different stuff. You can even buy store mounts on the Trading Post. It is insanely good. This is a massive W and a huge improvement to the game. There is no negative that this creates whatsoever. It's not a battle pass. Is that right? It's not a battle pass, huh? Well, then what's that?